Nau mai, haere mai, ki tēnei kaupapa. This is the first of 3 presentations where we're going to share our Tiriti journey with you. But first, let's introduce ourselves. Kia ora koutou, ko wai au, no ingarangi o ku tupuna, no tairawhiti ahau, ko Tamaki Makoto taku kāinga anaine, ko Nicola Kays toku ingoa. I had the privilege of growing up on the east coast of Aotearoa in Tairawhiti, Gisborne. My ancestors settled there at the turn of the century in the 1900s, and the whenua, awa, moana, and maunga of that region is where I feel most connected and grounded. I now live in Silverdale with my husband David and my 2 sons Jaden and Kobe. I was drawn to that part of Auckland because the Hibiscus Coast was the closest I could get to that small East Coast community that I had the privilege of growing up in.
Tēnā koutou katoa, no Kotirana, no Ingarangi o ku tīpuna, ko Tamaki Makoto te whenua tupu, kei Glen Eden tōku kāinga, I te rohe a te iwi o te kauro a maki, ka mihi au ki te maunga o te toi o kaparu, ka mihi au ki te moana o Manukau, ko Joe Fidel tōku ingoa. Noa reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. My ancestry is Scottish and English, and I was born and raised in Auckland, where my parents and some of my grandparents also grew up. I now live in the suburb of Glen Eden in the rohe of Te Kawaro Aomaki, and I feel very connected to that place and the beautiful forests and seas out there, which I recognise under the active stewardship of this iwi. Nick and I both work at AUT as researchers and lecturers, and are here today in our role as co-directors of the Centre for Person-Centred Research. In this series of presentations, we're going to share our Te Tiriti journey with you. In this presentation, we'll share how it began. In the second presentation, we'll share the steps we took to bring our Tiriti framework into being. And finally, in our third presentation, we'll share how we are living our Tiriti framework in our everyday work. So let's start with how it began.
PCR became a possibility in 2004 with the appointment of a new Professor of Rehabilitation at AUT, Professor Kath McPherson. The Person-Centred Rehab Group was established by Kath within the Health and Rehabilitation Research Institute in 2005 and was formally recognised as a research centre in 2007. Kath's leadership was deeply rooted in values, with a strong commitment to Māori health advancement integrated into our research centre's ways of working from the very beginning. Kath often referred to the Sankofa bird to remind us of the importance of looking back to move forward and the strong connection between past, present and future possibility. Kath is but one of many people who have been formative to our thinking and ways of working as a centre. We have had the privilege of working with many Māori and non-Māori colleagues over the years who have influenced our work and thinking in small and big ways. A particularly important connection for our collective has been our relationship with our school Mātauranga Māori committee. Key members of this group, such as Donald Ripia and Tammy Wilson Uluwinayao, have had an enduring connection with our centre, and we want to especially acknowledge their manaki and kaitiakitanga. It is important to acknowledge, though, that each member of the team would also be able to cite people and experiences that have been formative to their own Tiriti journey. Each of these experiences have been important to our collective journey. Kath stepped down as Director of PCR and moved on from AUT to take up a position as CEO of the Health Research Council in 2014. In early 2015, we celebrated 10 years of PCR with an event reflecting on our achievements to that point. It was a milestone event for us that marked the end of an era for PCR, as we said goodbye to Professor McPherson and looked towards a new generation of PCR. Kath's mana as a leader and guide was critical to who we were as a centre, so her leaving was a key turning point for us, prompting us, forcing us even, to consider who we were without KEF, to establish our identity as a centre going forward.
At that time, we commenced a collaborative process as a team to revision PCR and to develop our centre purpose and values to reflect our current team and portfolio of work. This included engaging a storytelling workshop to elicit narratives from team members regarding the things that we valued most about PCR and the aspects we thought characterised who we are, the way we work, and our unique contribution into the rehabilitation field. So then we looked across those narratives to identify themes and drew on those themes to frame our shared purpose and values. So while we routinely review and refine them, these purposes and values have been formative to our ongoing direction. They lay the foundations for what we pursue as core business and who we are and how we work as a team.
This process precipitated a more explicit refocusing on our role as Tiriti partners. Around that time, we were in a position to appoint Bobby Jo Wilson, or BJ, to undertake some work as part of an external research grant and to work with us on our refocusing. We already had a relationship with BJ. I had supervised her summer studentship back in 2007, and she had maintained a strong connection with PCR. At the same time, BJ was on her own journey with Te Ao Māori and Te Reo Māori and had developed a connection with Te Herenga Waka or Orewa Marae, a pan-tribal, multicultural community marae in Orewa. She strongly advocated for the importance of grounding our next steps in our Tiriti journey in relationship with Māori and initiated a connection with the marae to support this.
So our first welcome onto Te Herenga Waka o Orewa Marae was in October 2018 when we began to build a relationship as a centre through the connection that Bobby Jo Wilson had invited. This began a new phase in the journey for us, engaging in a more focused way with Te Ao Māori and Te Tiriti o Waitangi as a centre, as we were invited to reflect on how our purposes and values connect with Te Ao Māori, and in particular to our commitment to Te Tiriti. In this presentation, we've started to share how it began. And in our next presentation, we'll share the steps we took to bring our Te Tiriti framework into being.